What's up, guys, and welcome back to Rule of Two Review. My name is Rob, and today it's that video that a lot of people have been asking me for. It's my thoughts on Sonic Boom. Alrighty, well, this is a hard one for me. Like I said, a lot of people have been kind of bugging me to make this video, and they really kind of wanted to hear my thoughts and impressions on Sonic Boom. Brand new Sonic game for the Wii U. There is, of course, Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal for the 3DS. And I am, of course, talking about Sonic Boom and the Rise of Lyric for the Wii U. It's an interesting case. I'm not quite sure how I want to approach it. This is a really, really hard kind of, review for me to put together for this game. I am notoriously a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Quick primer is that I grew up as a young kid in the 80s and 90s, so I remember when the Genesis was brand new, and I remember when Sonic the Hedgehog was brand new, and it was like the coolest thing, and I still maintain that all of those 2D Sonic games from back in the day are some of the best of all time. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 might even be in my top 10 of all time. If not top 10, it's at least top 20, so it is up there. One of the best games I've ever played, easily the best Sonic game. And so because of that, when you fast forward to today's gaming in, 2014, I'm still a Sonic fan, partly because I have that nostalgic connection to him as a kid, but also because his best games really are great games. They're great platformers, and I am a platformer guy. It's probably my favorite genre. So I have a love and respect for Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic Boom looked like a really huge, ambitious, gorgeous, super fun, really epic Sonic the Hedgehog game. I have been massively excited for this game. I haven't really talked about it a whole lot on Rule of Two Review, but I really, really have been excited for this game. I thought it looked great, and I just thought it was going to be this really cool, I don't want to say return to form for Sonic, because I feel like his previous two games, Sonic Lost World on the Wii U and Sonic Colors on the Wii, and actually Sonic Generations, which was PS3 and 360, were great games. So his last three games were fucking awesome. Like, those were really, really great Sonic games. I loved Colors and Lost World to death. Colors probably being the best of those three, but Lost World is right behind that. I was a huge fan of Lost World. So, I think that this was a game that I thought was going to be like the next evolution in his, comeback, if you want to call it that, or return to form. And so I had a lot of hype going into this game. I finally picked it up on release day, on the 11th, just a couple of days ago, and I've been playing it for about 2 or 3 days straight now, however long it's been. And so how is the game? It's okay, maybe. It's really, really hard to talk about. At the end of the day, just the simple fact that I had to make that statement in that way kind of lets you know that it's a disappointment. At the end of the day, I can only admit, even as a huge fan and somebody who's trying to see the best in any kind of game that I want to love, like Sonic the Hedgehog, this game really is lacking in a lot of ways. Most importantly, I think that the number one thing that comes to mind is the game just feels incomplete, which a lot of people have kind of talked about from the few people who have been playing it. It definitely feels like it needed quite a bit more time in the cooker before it might have been more ready and prepared for release. So there's a ton of issues with this game, But there are quite a few saving graces, to be honest. There's more than a few things about this game that I actually have come to like the more that I've played it. So going back to some of Sonic's previous games for a moment, like I said, Lost World, the last Sonic game, which was a Wii U exclusive last winter, so about a year ago, that game was great. Not everyone loved it as much as I did. It mostly got okay reviews, mostly in the 7s, a couple of 8s and a couple that were lower than 7. But overall, I think the Metacritic was at 6.9 or 7 or low 7s or something. So not an abysmal failure, but a game that a lot of people didn't really like or get. I myself, as a Sonic fan and as a platformer fan, thought that game was freaking amazing. It very much borrowed from Super Mario Galaxy, which I know a lot of people will talk to you about, but it works. I mean, the control isn't 100% as good as it should have been, but it worked well enough. The level design was great. The graphics were amazing. That engine was so silky smooth and rock solid. The presentation was off the charts in that game. That is a great Sonic game. I implore you to try it. Now, Sonic Boom, I don't know what happened, man, because I've talked about this a little bit, actually. There are, some people may not know this, there's a couple of ex-Naughty Dog developers that actually moved to the Sega Sonic team who worked on this game, which was why when we saw the early trailers and the fact that this game was running on the CryEngine, it looked gorgeous. And I was like, damn, this game is going to be a great showcase for the Wii U's power, and it's going to be a great-looking Sonic game, partly because of the CryEngine and partly because of some folks at Naughty Dog who really know high-end tech graphics working on this game. Fun fact, the reason Sonic the Hedgehog is actually wearing a scarf in this game is actually a Naughty Dog throwback to Nathan Drake, who's wearing a scarf in Uncharted 3. And I thought that was really cool. So, again, Sonic Lost World, amazingly, amazingly running game. Whether or not you loved it or not, if you play it, you'll see it's a completely smooth, buttery smooth, well-implemented experience. Like, it is a flawless playing game. Whether or not you like it is one thing, but it runs immaculately. Sonic Boom, holy shit. I don't know what happened. There are major presentation issues, major graphical issues. It's weird, like the video, like the cinematics, they have this weird filter and grain over it that I don't understand, because typically Sega's cinematics are amazing. They're like some of the best out there, and usually the Sonic ones are to die for. Go back and watch the Sonic Colors opening cinematic. It's gorgeous. And this one, I don't know, it just doesn't feel the same. It's just kind of grainy, and I mean, it looks okay. I don't know if like the issues with it will come through in the video here that you're watching for some of the cinematics you'll see, but trust me, it doesn't look as crystal clear as it should. And visually for the game, just I don't know, like the way it cuts in and out of like when the game is trying to show you some dialogue and show you part of the area and then goes back into the gameplay, it's real just choppy and not smooth at all. Visually, there are times where the game looks great, and then there are times where the game looks kind of more like a Wii game than a Wii U game, and it never really looks terrible. It, visually, the game overall is passable, but again, for the Wii U, which is a really powerful system, and coming off of Lost World, which was gorgeous, this was surprisingly a downgrade based on the trailers we saw for this game that looked amazing. So, I just don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, like I said, it should be noted that there are the occasional moments, more than occasional, that actually are really, really beautiful. Like, there are some times and some locations in this game, of which I've seen quite a few in my few hours of playing through it already, that actually are really, really pretty. The effects, there's like zero effects, like walking through water barely makes a splash, stuff like that. But the water itself looks good. The worlds are huge, and I certainly appreciate the hub world kind of design and how many different places there are to go, and you're kind of, finding different doors that open to different worlds, and so there's a lot to see. There's huge, vast vistas and things to look at, which I do really appreciate in any kind of game. So there are times where it looks great, but like I said, at the end of the day, man, it just seems like this game visually was nothing like what the previews looked like, and I don't think that they were I just don't think that they were done with it. So that is kind of a huge problem that I have with the game. Now, another thing that I've noticed is, okay, so we know that this game, I have so many thoughts I'm putting together here. We know that this game was coinciding with the release of a Sonic Boom TV show. I think it's Cartoon Network. Someone out there can correct me if I'm wrong. I have no idea. It's not anything I'm going to probably have an opportunity to see. But I know it's coinciding with basically a whole rebranding of Sonic. The image of Sonic, they want to change a little bit. They're changing the way the character models look, which I actually think are totally cool, by the way. I don't mind the new character models. Some people bitch about Sonic's legs or just Knuckles as a whole. I think that stuff all works completely well. Don't mind that. But there's, of course, the TV show and, a cereal or toy line. There's all sorts of things that they're doing that is coinciding with Sonic Boom. So one of the other big problems, I think, with the game is the fact that it's pretty story-heavy, which normally would be okay, but the way they're implementing the story of this game seems like they are aiming for a very young audience. So not only does the dialogue feel very childish and kiddie at times, but so do the puzzles. It's not really... This is not, Legend of Zelda kind of puzzle solving when you're going through these different dungeons and things that this game does take you through, which is cool that they do that. But it's really mediocre challenge. There's just, it's tedious, minuscule tasks that you're completing to get things done. There's a switch over there, walk to the switch by jumping over one or two things, and then you're at the switch, and they've gotten more complicated as the game has gone along, but overall, the game is presented very, very... it's very much aimed at the childish nature of things. And I think it's because, Sonic the Hedgehog is certainly family friendly, and it's also, again, coinciding with the cartoon release, a new show. So I think that the game is really pandering to the younger audience, more so than previous Sonic games. That has been kind of an issue too. I feel like as an older gamer, I feel like Sonic, when you look at things like Colors and Lost World, can still appeal to the older gamer and the older gamer like me who grew up with Sonic as a younger gamer. And they're kind of really missing that boat there, especially early on. It's just so oh my God, Sonic, what do we do? Oh, look at this thing. And I can't do a good impression, but it's totally ridiculous, man. That stuff is just, it's an issue. And so the other major complaint that I have is the fact that It is just really freaking glitchy, man. The game is so buggy and glitchy. Again, going back to the idea of the fact that I think that this game needed to cook in the pot a little bit more. It definitely wasn't ready. Partly exemplified by like those transitions in and out of cutscenes and dialogue moments, like I said earlier. And also just in the way like the collision detection when you're jumping and trying to do platforming and stuff. The jump mechanic is really, really odd, and trying to connect with like grab points and use the special abilities of all the different characters and stuff. Sometimes that's really, really awkward. The combat is both really, really thin and also kind of a little bit deeper than it seems. If anything, it's kind of a lot of fun, but you're mostly just button mashing. You have 2 attacks, and only one is really worthwhile, and you do have a little grab mechanic that Tails invents for everybody, which is kind of cool. It lets you swing on things, lets you grab enemies and swing them around and stuff. It's pretty mediocre combat that you can tell they wanted to be much better and much deeper, and it ended up being just completely okay, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, at the end of the day, the platforming, the cinematics, the transitions, the cutscenes, the graphics, everything is very glitchy and very buggy. The AI, of course, it's not that great. There's some videos that are out there kind of showing that the game just, as far as how it presents things like enemies and tasks and challenges, the game just isn't complete. And that's probably, if I had to think of one thing that bothers me, the childlike nature is a huge one. The graphics I can deal with because the graphics don't have to be great for me to like a game. And also, like I said, there are times when the game is gorgeous, don't get me wrong. But overall, I can deal with the graphics. The biggest problem I have is that the game just feels undercooked. It could have sat a little bit longer, another 5, 6 months, 8 months, I don't even know. And it could have ended up being a really, really great game. At least the operation and the presentation could have been much better than it really is. And so I'm disappointed that the game seems to have released unfinished and very glitchy and buggy. That's a huge problem, and it's not typical of Sonic games. Sometimes the control and the story is what breaks a Sonic game, but usually the presentation is pretty good, and here that is just simply not the case. So now that I've spent, the better part of 12 minutes completely basically bashing this game, if in fact you are still listening and watching, I do have a couple of positive things to say about Sonic Boom, which I don't think a lot of people will have seen coming. So all of the things that I listed as problems are problems. It's glitchy, it seems unfinished, the graphics are weird, and the story and the presentation is super kiddish, super childlike, like for a 7-year-old, really, really aimed at a young audience for the most part. However, what I noticed as I played this game more and more, because I oddly refused to give up on it, as I played it more and more, it definitely got better. There is no doubt that this game improves the more you play it. There are more enemies to fight. You unlock more moves, so the combat gets better. The locations that you go to become more varied. The puzzles, while still very simple overall, start to become more and more challenging, or at least more fun to accomplish, even when they're not difficult. And just the overall presentation just seems to get better. The game kind of becomes more fun. It never stops feeling a little broken. That's, again, the biggest problem with this game, is that even once some of the early hiccups kind of go away, there's still the occasional thing that reminds you, this game just, based on the way it controls, it's not finished. You can just tell that. But it's still getting better. The other thing that I find really interesting is the dialogue and the way the characters talk and interact with each other starts to become clever, actually. And I did not see that coming based on my first hour or two with this game, when I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this game is made for a 5-year-old. What the hell? Actually, all of a sudden, Knuckles starts to become pretty hilarious in the way that he's completely dense and dumb and doesn't really grasp what's going on, but is still capable of accomplishing tasks. Tails is typically annoying Tails, but I also don't really mind Tails. And some of the dialogue Sonic whips out, it's very clever. I'm willing to bet that these are obviously the same voice actors for the TV show. I didn't look that up or confirm that beforehand, but I'm sure it is. So the voice acting is good, and the characters, again, initially they're annoying and they're talking to 5-year-olds, but as they kind of get used to interacting with each other, as you do more and more throughout the game, they actually kind of become clever, and there are a couple jokes that are actually really funny. And you can see that they're poking fun at the ridiculousness of the idea of what the story is about. You release this enemy Lyric that should have been locked up and, dead for thousands of years, and Sonic makes a mistake and he gets loose and he's like, I'm going to kill the world. And it's like, great Sonic, look what you did kind of thing. And they actually use that to a pretty good effect. You run into a lot of NPCs and they're totally worthless and lame to talk to, but they give the characters, and specifically Sonic, a couple of legitimate things to say, again, only as the game has gone on. I've played probably 5 hours or so. I can't imagine the game is too terribly long. So I've played a lot of this game, and it's starting to improve. Again, the level design is starting to get better. I'm going to so many places and splitting up between, Sonic and Tails working as one team and Knuckles and Amy working as another. And like, it's working. Like, it's getting better. Is it still good? No, not at all. It's still not great, but it's like enough that I'm still kind of playing through it. It kind of reminds me of a less good version of Epic Mickey. And I really, really, really liked Epic Mickey. I don't care what anyone says. And this game very much has that feel to it. So that's the best comparison I can make. If you played Epic Mickey, that gives you an idea of what this game is like. If you liked Epic Mickey, this game might be good for you after you play it for a little bit. If you didn't like Epic Mickey, or if you're any other kind of gamer, stay the hell away from it for sure. But the fact that I have an attachment to that game, and this game feels like a not quite as good version of that, is actually helping the more I play. And like I said, the glitches, while still present, are kind of going away, and it's starting to look better too. Again, as I go to new places, it's like, well, that actually looks pretty good, and I didn't see an environment like this coming, Again, overall, it's still very simple. It's a little too simple, and it is so freaking glitchy that I just don't even know what to do with myself. But it is improving as I've played along with it. So, in summary, it's a game that the most important thing is it's not great. It's not even good. It should have been better, and I'm really disappointed. It's a game that after I played it for the first couple of hours, before I realized it started to get good, I was like, I'm going to return this shit. That was like the first thing I said after like an hour. I was like, this has to go back. This was not worth the $50 that I paid for it. And that remains true. The game is definitely not worth the $50 that I paid for it. And that's really sad. And it's really hard for me to say and admit, but it's just true. The game is not worth it, However, the thing is, I kind of feel like I want to keep it for collector's sake, mostly because I had a tough time trying to find this game, and I also watched Francis from PE Nintendo, one of my favorite channels. I watched his video, really quick video, where he talked about, the fact that review copies for this game didn't go out till after the game was launched, and also the fact that he, really struggled to find the game, that it seems very, low in stock. And so when I heard that, and then I remembered how much trouble I had finding it, one of the rare games I didn't reserve, I was like, man, even though I don't really want to keep this game, maybe I should keep it for collector's sake. So I probably am going to hold on to it. However, it should be noted that the game is not worth buying. It was not worth buying for myself. It's not quite an unmitigated disaster, but it is just barely a step above that. I'll play it a little bit more. I might play it to completion. I don't know. It's definitely a frustrating as hell game to go through. But I don't know. I mean, that's the game. It's disappointing. It's not great. All the problems you've heard about it are mostly true. I will say that most of the problems people are talking about are not quite as bad as they've been trying to show or explain. There are a couple redeeming factors and redeeming moments throughout the experience that I've had. And as bad as the game is, it has been getting better. Whether or not it continues to get better and actually gets good by the end remains to be seen. I highly doubt it. But it's a possibility. I mean, it's on an upward slope right now. So that's all I can say. After 4 or 5 hours, it's on an upward slope. So I don't know, man. I hope that helps. I know a lot of people and a lot of my fans and followers have been curious to hear me talk about it because you guys know I was going to get it. A lot of you probably know I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan, and everyone's really curious about this game because it's this, Sonic the Hedgehog Wii U exclusive that people probably really want to be great, and it's became pretty obvious not too long before and after it came out that it really isn't that great, and there's a lot of issues with it. And so as a huge diehard Sonic fan, you've heard my thoughts. It's pretty disappointing. The game should have been better. It's getting better, but overall this package should have been way more complete than it is. So I have to say, Sega, what the hell? And holy freaking cow, I officially have made a 20-minute video talking about Sonic Boom. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this and felt compelled to watch it all the way to the very end. I can't imagine many people will, but hey, you've heard my thoughts, and if you were really curious about this game, you've got a pretty thorough and in-depth review of what's going on with Sonic Boom. And again, from a diehard Sonic fan, so I hope it helped. I hope you found it informative. I hope you enjoyed it. And so that's it. That's Sonic Boom. Should have been better, but it is what it is. So, thanks for tuning in. Of course, if you like Rule of Two Review, you should feel free to subscribe, like, and share the video. Please talk about Sonic Boom below, especially if you've played it, or if you found this review and everything that I said about the game helpful. And if you're trying to find the game, good luck, because like I said, I think it's very hard to find. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will, of course, catch you guys on the next video.